Hey everybody, I'm Madeline Sklar, host of the Social ROI Twitter chat. I'm here with our special guest today. Please welcome Amy Woods. Hey Amy.
Hey Madeline, how are you? Thank you for having me on
I
today.
am great. You were so awesome today. Thank you for being our guest on the chat. Um, I love to do this live stream because it's a fun way to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep it super brief. I know you're over in the UK and it's late over there. But before we dive in, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am, as you said, based in the UK. I am the founder of a creative agency called Content 10x. So basically, we repurpose content for people. So we work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and we help them to take their kind of a core piece of content. So say it's a podcast, video, blog post, and then we repurpose their content for them. So that's one thing. And then I also have my podcast, the Content 10x podcast. So I teach people how to repurpose, and I had you all obviously as a guest as well, which was
Yes,
fantastic.
I had a great
um,
time being a guest. I love your podcast. I think you do a tremendous job with it.
oh, thank you very much. So basically, content repurposing is my thing, basically.
I love that. I think content repurposing has really become a thing now, with social media and all the things that go on with digital marketing. And I love that you are filling in a gap. I think it's so cool. How long have you been doing this?
Um, a little over 18 months, so not terribly long. I've had the business for a little over 18 months. I had my podcast for a little over 1 year. So it still feels like fairly early stages, but yeah, it's been, I guess I've learned an awful lot in that time.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do the podcast, to go that route?
So I there was a little bit of irony at first to my business because we were working so hard at repurposing our clients' content, and I wasn't putting out content myself. So I went business first, and then I was trying to decide what my core channel was going to be, and then we treat my content as if we're a client, if you know what I mean. So we repurpose everything that we do like we repurpose our clients' content. So I was trying to decide between a weekly video or a weekly podcast. And I think there's two reasons why I went for podcast. Number one was because my mentor Chris Ducker, I asked him if you could kind of make a decision now on what you would do. He said he would go all in on podcasts, so I listened to him. And also because I was trying to decide between podcast and video seemed a bit more work in terms of you have to think about kind of the background and you have to think about what you look like and things like that. And
Right.
so I decided I would go with podcast first, but also because the clients that we were working with were mainly podcasters, and I wanted to, I guess, get a little bit more empathy in terms of the production process and kind of I guess the planning process of what they went through, to create podcast content. But now I do, video content as well. And I'm going to start doing a lot more video content next year. That's the big thing for me, to start having more regular video as well as regular podcast. But that's why I decided to. And I enjoy podcasts as well. I'm a listener.
It definitely shows. You have a great podcast and
Thank you.
it's very impressive. That's really interesting. The story you just shared. I'm very familiar with Chris Ducker, and he's been doing podcasting for a very long time. I've been a listener, a fan of his, and listening for a long time. So that is great advice. I love that. I think that's so awesome. So congrats to you with all of that.
Thank you.
And this chat was so perfect with the episode you and I just did on your podcast because you had me talk about repurposing with Twitter chats, and it was just such a very timely
Yeah.
with this chat today. So our topic today. Content repurposing strategies for success. So why don't we do a couple of the questions and get your more expanded thoughts on it now that we moved from tweeting to video. So let's start with question number one and kind of just get the basic so people understand the basics here. What are the benefits of creating a content repurposing strategy?
Well, I mean, I guess, one of the main things is that when you put so much time and effort into creating the original piece of content, it's a waste really to not look at how you can maximize that time and effort by reaching more people. So having a strategy in place is about, I guess, expanding reach and expanding your message and making the most of your own time. So I always say that I think a strategy is important because you should come at content repurposing not as an afterthought. So don't just create the content and then sit there and think, I should repurpose this in some way. What shall I do? But actually think before you create your content how you are going to repurpose it, because it can have an effect on how you then create the content. So that's really important. And an example of that is, for example, if you're going to repurpose a Facebook Live into, let's say, a podcast episode, then you're going to want to have a really clear section where you talk and present, that you don't say every few minutes, oh, hi, so and so, and it's nice to see you, and that kind of thing, because,
Right.
or you're going to have a lot of editing to do. If you do that, loads and loads of editing. So, you're thinking beforehand. So having a strategy in place of what content you're going to create and how you're going to go on and repurpose that. You're going to expand your reach. You're going to I really think it's important to focus on being brilliant at one form of content as well. So I don't think everybody should try and be the best person on video, the best podcaster in the world, the best Instagrammer, the best everything. It's too hard and it's too much pressure. And for people who are creating content for their businesses, you've got to focus on your business as well and not just content all the time. So I think it's really important to create that brilliant, epic, great piece of content, whatever that may be, on a consistent basis. So consistency is so important as well. And then have your strategy in place for the repurposing to expand the reach. Not everybody listens to podcasts, not everybody reads a blog post, not everybody watches video, not everyone's on Instagram. So expanding your reach through repurposing. But when the first piece of content was great to begin with, your repurposed content is going to be great as well. So it's kind of quality feeds more quality. So it's all about that. It's all about reach and expansion, but not trying to be everywhere and completely going crazy about it.
I love this. This is so great. It reminds me a few years ago, I saw this video presentation that Chalene Johnson did. And Chalene Johnson is really well known for, big time digital marketer. And she said, I could do a Facebook live video and have a year's worth of content out of this one piece of content. And it was fascinating how she was showing us how, she does this Facebook live presentation. I don't remember the details of it, but how, cutting it up into pieces and sharing it on Instagram, sharing it on Twitter, sharing it back on Facebook, and all these different things you could do with it. And it's really fascinating because we don't always think about that. And I've been so much more aware with my Twitter chats with both Twitter Smarter and Social ROI. I make it a point after each chat to create a Twitter moment to have, so that kind of like the best of the chat. So that carries on. And I think, getting creative and coming up with ways of taking this awesome piece of content you create and find ways to, you made a really great point of that. If you have a really great piece of content, repurposing it is going to be really great.
Yeah, I think it's so funny how so many people say to me that they don't have time to repurpose their content because they're so busy creating the next piece of content. So it's like, oh, I have no time to repurpose that podcast episode because my next one's due out in tomorrow or whatever. And it's a bit like, but what are you doing to maximize the first one before you go on to do the next one and the next one and the next one? And sometimes I think it's almost losing the point of it's actually communicating a message and having an impact with people. So maybe for some people, you need to reduce the frequency. So don't have 3 podcasts a week, have 1 podcast a week, but then spend the amount of the other 2 actually repurposing the first one. So it's about it's about extracting that quality and consistency, and potentially reducing consistency. And so really, I think I once did a podcast episode where I said that I felt like if you had 10 hours to create content each week, then maybe spend 2 or 3 on the original piece, and then 7 on repurposing that original piece. So I think that's really important.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm going to. I know we're pressed for time, so I'm going to do one more
That's okay.
question, and I'm actually going to do the last question, question number 7, because I thought this was a really good one. What analytics should a business use when deciding which content to repurpose?
Yeah, so I think that if you're looking to repurpose, let's say, blog posts, I really think that you should look at your Google Analytics, and you should look at what are your most highest performing blog posts, or the blog posts that clearly really resonated with your audience. But that's resonating with your audience who happen to find your blog and are already coming onto your website. So if you know that that section of your audience really liked it, then they're big green signal saying that this is a good topic. This is what people love. So repurpose that. And if you don't, you might not use Google Analytics, but whatever kind of website analytics that you use. Another thing is your social media analytics. So, for example, on Facebook, like Facebook audience insight, Facebook insights, so your page insights, and looking at engagement. So looking at the likes, comments, and shares, and seeing the topics that really sparked an interest with your audience, because that topic, that conversational thread, it's not necessarily it's the Facebook post, but it's telling you a topic that is sparking interest and sparking, sharing, comments, engagement. And then look at your content and see, did I do a podcast on that? Did I do video, or have I? If not, that's the next original piece of content. Then repurpose that, because people like that topic. If you are a podcaster and you're repurposing podcast episodes, and you're not going to go for repurposing, the same one every week, but actually you really want to start with looking at your historical ones, and of course looking at your podcast downloads again and the popularity. But I also think, and it's not really analytics, but just listening as well. So what are your customers always asking you? What are your audience always asking you? And just taking that again as that's the topics that you need to start creating more content on. Have you already created content on that? Repurpose that, or do you need to create content and then start to repurpose it? So I think it's often staring you right there in your analytics or in the conversations that you're having. It's just working out. And I think there was somebody that made a comment actually on the Twitter chat that said something about, well, as a blog post, leave it be. I think it was somebody said something along that lines. I would consider to leave it be. And I commented back, and I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I often think that it's okay to kind of leave it be, but you do just have to remember that not everybody reads blog posts, not everybody listens to video, not everyone,
Right.
So there's just a chance that you're missing out on a potential audience if you don't repurpose something that's performing well. Or even if something isn't performing that well in a certain medium, perhaps it's that you need to, kind of go into a different medium. But I kind of think don't leave it be, because that's just a sign to say that people love that topic. So try and take it further is what I would say. You can't do everything. So take one step at a time, like repurpose one step at a time. Don't get too carried away until you feel comfortable with what you're doing. But yeah, I think, look at the most popular content first, because that's just saying to you that is what your audience want to hear more about.
And what if you're just a one person operation and you just can't do it all? I saw that I mentioned that during the chat that she does it all herself and she doesn't always have time to do it all. So, is that a service you provide? You have a team that can help people that need help with
Yeah.
repurposing, or what are your suggestions for that when people need help?
Yeah. I mean, it's easy for me to kind of talk about all these like many ways you can repurpose, but yes, I have the team because that's what we do as a business for our clients. So we work with people to help repurpose their content. So, if anybody does want help, then do get in touch at the content10x.com website. You can get in touch with me there, or on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But I would say that if you are doing it yourself and you don't necessarily have a budget to get any help at this stage, and you're just doing it on your own, then you do just need to, not try and do absolutely everything. So even if at first you just choose one way every single week that you are going to repurpose that blog post. So consistency is important. First of all, get consistent with a regular quality piece of content. So let's say that's a video. Let's say that you're going to go live every week on Facebook, and you consistently commit to that. Then just choose one way that you are going to repurpose that to start with. And let's say that that is going to be turning that Facebook live that you did into a write-up. So every week you're just going to do a write-up, and you're going to put that blog post on your website. But not just on your website, why not also put that written post as a post on LinkedIn? Maybe Facebook, slim it down a little bit, maybe Medium, somewhere like that. But just do one thing and do that consistently. And then in time, you can start to do other things, like you can create graphics and things like that. But again, if you don't have the budget, then you don't need to get too stressed about it. But when you do have the budget, then look to get some help, something like creating graphics. You can get help from freelancers if you aren't ready to hire any kind of an in-house team. And yeah, like I said, if you do have a budget, then do get in touch. We can probably help, but otherwise just take it one step at a time. When you have the budget, gradually invest in these things. That would be my
That's
advice.
great advice. That's great advice. I love it, because I think repurposing is so important. I think, those that are putting the time and effort into it, I think it really pays off. So it's great to know that your company does this. I have a link here to your website so everyone can check it out, content10x.com. And also, like you said, get a graphic designer to help with design. I'm actually talking to your graphic designer. I love your design work. When I came on your podcast and then you sent me all these JPEGs to use to promote it, I was like, this is really great. And a mutual friend of ours put me in touch with her, because I'm looking for a graphic designer to help me with some of my graphics. And I think it's smart finding people that can help you with these things so that you can, get this stuff out there for people to see.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really important. And just look at always changing the format of your content as well. So, like written, audio, video, visuals, just look at changing the format and just be as creative as you can, basically.
I love it. I'm also going to post a link here to your Twitter. So for those who are not already following you, I encourage everyone to follow Amy. And Amy, I really appreciate your time today. This has been so great. You've been so awesome. You've shared so much valuable insights. We'll definitely have a recap. I'll have the Twitter Moments recap, and then Managed Flitter does a recap on their blog. That'll be out tomorrow. So this will live on. So we're great examples of repurposing a Twitter chat. So
Yeah.
You'll be proud. You'll be very proud when you see our repurposed content on this. So, but thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really good fun, and you have an awesome community as well. So it's been great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, you are, welcome anytime to come join in the conversation. They all really loved having you there. So it was really great.
I will. Well, it's Andy Crestadina next week, right? And he's awesome. I really like Andy, so I will definitely join in and chat to Andy as well.
Yeah, he's great. I am so excited that we have him next week. So, so that's it. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Amy. Take care. And we'll see you all next week for another great chat.
Thank you. Bye.